Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jordan and thank you so much for clicking on one of my bookish videos. Today I am so excited, as you can tell, because I am going to be filming a very special reading vlog, reading on my Kobo Libra color for the week. I just got this Libra color. I have wanted to try out the Libra color specifically for so long now, and I figured what better way than to kick off my reading experience and truly test this out than to bring you guys along, read solely on my Kobo Libra color for the week, and share all of my beginning thoughts about this Kobo. So if you want to see me read on my Kobo Libra color for a week, all sorts of different books, then keep on watching. Okay, so I'm gonna preface this vlog out by saying that Kobo did very kindly send me this Kobo Libra color and accessories for free to try out, which I am so thankful for. However, this video is not sponsored, it is not paid for whatsoever. They really just wanted to let me try this out, test it out, and share my thoughts with you guys. I previously bought myself the Kobo Clara color, which is the smaller version. Yes, so I previously bought myself the Kobo Clara color, which I've been using for the past few months now, and I really like it. We can get more into the differences between the models, but when Kobo reached out asking if I wanted to try the Libra color, I obviously jumped at the chance because I've been seeing this Kobo everywhere, and I'm not gonna lie, after I got the Clara color, I low-key felt a little bit stupid for not getting this version, even though it is more expensive. That was kind of the biggest con for me. It also is bigger. However, it has so many cool features I think that I'm really going to like, namely that the Libra color can be used with the Kobo Stylus 2, which you can use to annotate in color and highlight right on your Libra color. I just wanted to say that yes, this is not paid for. These are fully my thoughts. I just have been so excited to get this and try it out and really share with you guys, because I feel like this is like the hot topic in the bookish world right now, and so I want you guys to see my actual reaction reading on this. I also plan on doing a little sit down video comparing the Kobo Libra color to the Kobo Clara color and my Kindle paperweight in the near future, but this is literally like my first impressions. So let's go through what I have to test out in this video. So like I said, Kobo sent me the Libra color. They also sent me the Kobo Stylus 2. This has been something I'm very excited to try out, and especially see if I think it's worth the higher price point to get both of these together. They also sent me a sleep cover case, which I'm not gonna lie is pretty plain, but I looked this up and I think that this is the case that holds the stylus, which I do think could be really helpful. So we're gonna try that out. And then they also sent me the Kobo remote, which actually I previously bought myself the Kobo remote for my Clara color, and I love it. It is so easy to flip the pages automatically, especially if I'm laying in bed at night and I don't want to scroll or turn any pages. So I'm not gonna open this one up, and then I think I'm going to try and find a friend who has a Kobo who wants this, because there's no point in me having two of them. That is the little haul to get in this video. I am so excited. Like literally, I have been forcing myself not to open this package until I finished filming my last reading vlog, but now we are ready to go. We are about to read on this for a week. I absolutely cannot wait. I actually did open this last night and I started reading on the Kobo this morning, and I just put it back in the packaging. The plan is I have quite a few ARCs and library books that I would really like to read on the Kobo, so I think that's my plan. I was halfway through reading Let's Kiss and Tell by Joss Richard, so I actually got it on Kobo this morning so that I could actually fully experience the Kobo, and so I will be reading that first, which actually released today, which is so exciting. So I'm gonna be reading that on my Kobo, and then I have a few different library books and ARCs, like I said, that I want to read this week. But I am so excited to try this out and bring you guys my very real and raw thoughts. So yeah, I'm going to eat and then I'm going to settle down, get ready for bed, and start reading. Hello. I am officially ready for bed. My camera is about to die, and honestly, I am so exhausted. I don't know what it was about today, but I am fully ready for bed and it's only 8:15. But the good news is I have gotten my Kobo set up, put the case on, just figured out the stylus connecting. I honestly think I'm going to get in bed soon and just read in bed, which is my favorite way to read at night, is to read on my Kobo in bed. And so I'm very excited. But I wanted to give a quick update because I did actually read a decent amount today during my commute on the train. I started at page 100 on my Kobo, and this has 779 pages total on the Kobo, and I'm currently at page 420. So I just did the calculations. I've read about 40% today, which is very, very impressive. I'm hoping to read a little bit more and get to 50% of this book tonight, and then I may switch to another library book. I may not, but honestly, I'm not very mad about that. I feel like that's still a good reading day so far, and I haven't even started reading tonight. So that is my plan. I'm really loving this one. I'll give more of my thoughts tomorrow. Romance book from Joss Richard, who is the author of It's Different This Time, which was like a very fall, cozy contemporary romance that came out last year, her debut novel, and I absolutely loved it. Let's Kiss and Tell is her second book, and I've had so many friends raving about it for the past few months. It released today. I'm a little behind of reading my arc, but that's okay. And it follows Lucy, who is a sex columnist. She writes about sex and relationships for this really big like magazine, and she meets Marshall, who is a journalist, when he comes to work at her like company journal. She proposes to him that they should have a fake relationship because her column has been really losing a lot of views and interest lately because she's never written about a real relationship. She only writes about basically like the perils of dating and like loving yourself. Yeah, she proposes that they should be in a fake relationship together so she can experience what a relationship would be like and write for her readers to hopefully keep her job. But the two very quickly discovered that they have very strong chemistry and just really can't keep their hands off of each other and stay away from each other. Things are very messy right now because they are clearly having feelings and attraction, but they work at the same place, and so they're both really worried about keeping their jobs. I'm really loving it. I feel like Joss, her first book, was very emotional. This isn't as emotional yet, but I can definitely see it becoming more emotional towards the second half of the book. And I will say I'm really liking both Lucy and Marshall's characters. They both have, I mean, talk about emotion. They have very like traumatic backgrounds with relationships and just their view and perspective on love. So I'm really, really liking it. But I think I'm going to go get cozy in bed and read some more, and I will check in tomorrow with my thoughts so far on the Kobo Libra color. Hello, hello. It is currently Tuesday night. I worked a lot today. I got home late from work, and honestly, it is currently 9 p.m. and I am very, very much ready for bed, which is a bit unfortunate. Normally, I try to get a good amount of reading done at night, but that is just not happening today. I actually read a really good amount on the train today during my commute, so I wanted to give some updates. I also learned that it is definitely essential that you charge your Kobo after getting it, because I started using it right away after unboxing it, and it did die on the train ride home today, which was a bit of a bummer. However, so currently in Let's Kiss and Tell, I am on chapter 29, page 665 on my Kobo. So far today, I think I've read like 130 pages on my Kobo. I have about 100 pages left, and ideally, I really, really want to finish this tonight, especially because I want to post a review, and I'm having such a great time reading this. So I think that I'm going to lock in and finish this now before bed. I am absolutely loving this book. I will say, in the past like 100 pages or so, it has gotten so intense with Lucy and Marsh's relationship. They just are really being vulnerable with each other and sharing their emotions and insecurities about being in a relationship. I'm very much like appreciating their vulnerabilities, really relating, especially to Lucy's character and her outlook on love and relationships. We just got to the wedding part, a bit of a big conflict between the two, and I'm very nervous but interested to see how the conflict is resolved and how the story concludes. So I'm quite excited. So last night I was trying to figure out the next book that I want to read. I had quite a few books on my Libby holds that I really wanted to read from my library. In case you don't have the Libby app, I highly recommend it. You can get library ebooks for free and support your local library. I really want to read the next book in the Broken Earth trilogy. I thought I got the ebook for that, but it turns out I only got the sample, so I still am waiting for my hold to come in for that. And then I was thinking maybe I will start reading This Woven Kingdom by Tahir Mafi, because I've been wanting to read that series for so long and the book was available to borrow, but I did stop myself because I really am trying to not get into a lot of new series while I'm currently in the middle of reading so many big fantasy series. So I found that Kindred by Octavia Butler was available to borrow, and honestly, this is one of the books that was on my 26 books in 2026 list, and I previously read Parable of the Sower by her and really loved it, and so I started reading this morning on the train, and I got 13% in page 89 out of 651, so not very far at all. I don't think I'm gonna have time to keep reading it tonight, but I am planning to read it on the train tomorrow, and I think that is going to be my next book after Let's Kiss and Tell, and then I may start reading another very anticipated romance arc that I have tomorrow as well. We shall see. I am exhausted. I don't think I'm gonna have a ton of reading time tomorrow as well, because tomorrow night I'm going home to hang out with my cousin, which I'm very excited about. However, I think I'll have more time to read on the train, which should be good. Like I said, my plan is to finish up reading Let's Kiss and Tell tonight. However, I will say, my big update so far is that I am loving reading on my Kobo Libra Color. Something about the buttons I'm absolutely obsessed with. I did not think that that was going to be like one of my favorite features, but it's just so easy to hit the button instead of like swiping every time when you want to flip a page. Screen on this, I think that the screen size is like the perfect size. It kind of reminds me of my Kindle Paperwhite, and yeah, I don't know, I'm just like really loving this so far. I could definitely see myself just wanting to read on my Libra Color and picking it up so often. I'm really loving it so far. I will check in tomorrow. I'm gonna get ready for bed, hopefully finish reading this book, and I will see you tomorrow. Hey, hello. Happy Thursday. I did not vlog yesterday because, as expected, I went home and I barely read. What a shocker. Of course, this ended up being one of the busiest weeks for me with work, and then also a lot of personal things going on, fun little activities. So this is not to say the lesser reading is to blame on my Kobo. I did read a bit yesterday, and I figured I would give some quick updates in total. So Tuesday, I ended up reading 249 pages of Let's Kiss and Tell, which was 32%, and then I read 89 pages of Kindred, which was 13%. I did end up finishing Let's Kiss and Tell, which was quite a success. Absolutely love that book. 4.5 stars. I think it is such a hit. Joss Richard is such a beautiful writer. The last 50 pages of that book made me cry so much. I just related to Lucy's character so much in her reluctancy to open herself up to love and just let herself feel the scary parts of love and vulnerability with being in a relationship. I really liked how the book ended, and just honestly one of my favorite romance books. I highly recommend it. I also think one of the more unique romance books I've read lately. So anyway, yesterday, Wednesday, I ended up reading 100 pages of Kindred, which was another 15%, and then I very barely started my arc of Grim Tidings by B.K. Borison. I read 48 pages, which was 6%. I am really excited to read this one. So far today, it is 8:30 and I've barely read because I was at home and I was working, but I have read a little bit more of Grim Tidings today. It's following a guardian angel and a grim reaper, and I'm very curious about this book because I actually just read B.K. Borison's new Substack article where she talks about how one of her inspirations for writing this book was her experience with her husband, because I think he does some sort of palliative care as his job, basically working with people through the last days, months of their life before they die, and providing them with care and comfort. I feel like this book is gonna make me cry and I'm really scared. But B.K. Morison's books are always just very emotional and vulnerable. So yeah, so far I'm not very far in at all. I think I'm maybe 15% in. I read a few more chapters today, but I think that the plan is I'm going to try to read a bit more of Kindred and then maybe a little bit more of Grim Tidings tonight. I am very tired and I very much want to go to sleep, but I also want to read, and I feel like I've barely read. I think I'm going to read Kindred for a bit. I am very much enjoying it so far. I think I'm maybe 200 pages in, I want to say. Basically, this is following Dana. Dana is living, I think, in modern times in the US, and for some reason she is getting these flashbacks where she is pulled into the past, basically during when slavery was occurring in the United States. She's being brought into this specific boy's life who lives in the South on a plantation. He's a white boy. His dad is a slave master. She is a black, very modern looking female, and so she's experiencing living in a different timeline, the perils and the horrors of being black during this time period. It's such an interesting concept. It's definitely I guess you would call it a sci-fi type book because she is traveling through time, but I'm just horrified reading it and very interested, and I feel like Octavia Butler writes such beautiful, compelling stories. I'm excited to keep reading it. I think, again, my plan is to do a bit more reading tonight before bed, and then tomorrow, hopefully getting into the weekend, I want to sit down and start giving you some more of my thoughts so far, because I have been trying to test out different Kobo features throughout this week while reading my Kobo Libra Color. I'm loving it so far. I just get so excited to pick up my Kobo whenever I'm reading. So yeah, hopefully tomorrow I'm going to do a little sit down and share some more thoughts and have more reading time is my plan. But for now, let's get ready for bed and then do some reading on my Kobo. Hey guys, happy Friday. I am checking in. I actually have read a good amount so far today. I read about 100 pages of Grim Tidings this morning and then just read another 100 pages of Kindred during my lunch break. While I have a little bit of time to chat before I go out tonight, I wanted to share some of my initial thoughts about using my Kobo Libra color because I really have been loving this so far, and definitely will say, like, I think the added features of this is just a complete plus compared to the Kobo Clara color. I don't have my Kindle with me. I will try to pull that out maybe at the end of this video or in my like sit down comparison video, but I will say I was expecting the Libra color to be like much bigger because compared to the Clara color, this really isn't a super big size. I don't know, it's really not that much bigger. This does fit very perfectly in my hand, which I really love. In terms of the actual size, like, I still don't think that this is too crazy. I've been putting it in my bag to go to work when I'm commuting on the train, and it fits super easily. It also fits in my purse. I just think that the screen size is absolutely perfect. This definitely is bigger than the Clara color screen, and I feel like the Libra screen is more comparable to the Kindle Paperwhite, which is nice, like, just to have more room for reading and words on the screen. I have to say, one of my favorite features are these buttons that you can click to turn the page. I didn't really think I would care about the button feature, but it's just like super fun to use. I don't know, sometimes I just don't feel like swiping, and I feel like the buttons have been really nice. In terms of annotating, I've been trying to like test out different features with the stylus. What I do really like is if you go up top, you can basically choose the like width of the pen line and you can choose a different color. I feel like that's just fun, like especially if you want to do like little doodles or something. Not that I'm really like doodling on my pages, but I will say it has been fun to like switch up the color to underline. I do like underlining quotes in my books, and so that's been really fun. And then I will say the side button on the stylus, which you use to highlight, I think is super fun as well. Like, it doesn't get messy where like the lines is like a little bit more messy. So I really have been enjoying using the stylus to annotate a little bit. And yeah, overall, like, I really like the screen of the Kobos. I think that the words like look a little bit more natural almost compared to the Kindle. That's something that I've really noticed with my Clara color, and now with the Libra. I just love the color feature. Like, I'm sorry, I never really would have cared about it before, but I think it's so pretty. I especially want to try to read like a graphic novel on this because I think it's going to be so nice. But yeah, I love the color of this. I think it's like the perfect like muted, well, this is turned off, but like muted color is just like a really nice extra feature. I'm really loving it. I will say, like, I'm definitely just like automatically drawn to pick it up and read on it every day, which has been super fun. My two biggest complaints is, I will say, I have noticed with both the Clara color and the Kobo that they can sometimes be a little bit slow. I don't know if it's just like newer technology or something, or maybe I need to look to like update both of these because I know I suck at like updating everything, like my phone, my laptop, and this one keeps popping up with updates. So yeah, occasionally it has been a little bit slow, like just like pulling a book up or something, but my Kindle is personally really slow now, so I don't really care about that. I also do think that the battery on the Kobo is like slightly less than the Kindle because I have noticed that like the Kobo definitely does lose battery quicker, I personally think. However, that could just be because I've literally been reading on this nonstop for the past week, and like I've only charged it at the beginning of the week when it came out of the box. So that probably also, like, I don't normally read on my Kindle like that consecutively and that much. So yeah, but I love this. I have a very good feeling that this is going to end up being my favorite e-reader and the one I reach for like the most. So I'm about to go out. I am hoping not to get back too late, and then I want to do some reading tonight before bed. I'm really invested in Kindred. I'm at 62%, and so I would like to read to like 75% tonight, but we shall see. I will probably check in with you later tonight or tomorrow. Hello, happy Saturday. It is a rainy day here, and I so far have not done much reading. I've been doing a lot of other content things, working out, all the the good stuff so far today. I am currently 43% through Grim Tidings, and I really want to try to make it to 75% today so that way I can finish it tomorrow. And same with Kindred. I'm currently at about 65%. Ideally, I'd like to make it to 75% today and then finish tomorrow. I am very much in a cozy reading mood right now, so I think I'm going to read Grim Tidings for a little bit. I'm really enjoying it. I feel like we're really getting into an emotional dynamic between Darcy, who is the Reaper. She is sent to reap the souls of people who I guess need to die. Gabriel is the guardian angel, and he is supposed to protect souls from their death. They have a very crazy chemistry, and they just cannot stay away from each other. Right now, they are getting drunk together because Darcy, I am learning, has a very tragic history. She was sick for many, many years before she passed away and then became a Reaper. And so she comes to Gabriel really in this weird state and determined to try and live off her bucket list that she has of things that she wanted to do while she was still alive that she never got to do. And so that's kind of where they're at right now. They just can't stay away from each other, and they have a really, really great dynamic. That's my plan right now. On chapter 14, 43%, gonna read a bit more of this. We'll check back in later. I will say I did want to do a bit more reading this week. I really wanted to read Heartstopper volume 6 on my Kobo because I feel like these sorts of e-readers with color were really made for reading graphic novels. And I'm not someone who typically reads a ton of graphic novels, but the Heartstopper series is my favorite. And I've also been looking through like different options that were available on Libby for graphic novels. So I think it would be really fun to read Heartstopper, the new and final book in the series, on my Kobo and test that out. But we shall see if I get to that today. What I wanted to do was sit by the pool and binge Heartstopper out in the sun, but the weather today is not really giving that. So I am going to sit down for a bit and read, and I will check in with you guys later. Hello, happy Monday. I just got home from work and I wanted to quickly wrap up this video by sharing how much I ended up reading in a week on my Kobo and some very quick early thoughts about my Kobo Libra color. As you saw, I ended up reading a bit more Saturday night and then read a good bunch on Sunday, which was very productive because I finished the 3 books that I was reading. So Saturday, I read 200 pages of Heartstopper Volume 6 on my Kobo, which was about 44% of the book. I read 10% of Kindred, which was about 80 pages, and then 25% of Tidings, which was about 163 pages on my Kobo. And then for Sunday, I locked in. I ended up reading the last 25% of Kindred. I read the last 25% of Tidings, and then I read about 55% of Heartstopper Volume 6 to finish out my reading week. And honestly, these books were so good. If you have not read the Heartstopper series, it's one of my favorite series ever. It is the perfect comfort YA romance series. I cried my way through the last 25% of this book. It is the final volume in the series, and it just felt so bittersweet to be saying goodbye to Charlie and Nick and their friend group. Absolute 5 stars from me. Tidings, I really ended up enjoying. There were parts of the book, especially in the middle, that I felt a little iffy about. Like, it definitely wasn't feeling like my favorite B.K. Borison book. However, the last like 15 to 20% of the book, I was underlining everything. I really just felt impacted by the story that BK told in terms of end-of-life care and the role of people who escort our loved ones to the afterlife, taking care of them, comforting them and their loved ones. I think she told such a beautiful story, so I honestly would end up giving it a 4.5 stars. And then for Kindred, I am so happy that I read this classic in the speculative fiction genre. I would say it's a very close to 5 stars. I was left with so many questions, but I think that's the point of the book. I just again was so impressed by the way that Octavia Butler weaves nonfiction and history, specifically in this book, the slave trade and the slavery era in the United States, into a speculative fiction dystopian type novel that you can never really tell the lines between what's real and what's in the past. I just mind blown. Absolutely loved it. So at this point, I have shared a lot of my thoughts on the Kobo Libra color throughout this vlog. What I will say is that I had the best week reading on this e-reader. I love it so much. I can tell you that I will absolutely be reaching for this before my Kindle Paperwhite and my Clara color to read if I want to read on an e-reader. I love the color of it. I love the interface, and I really love the features, mainly the buttons and the annotating tool with the stylus. And I hate to leave you on a cliffhanger, but like I said at the beginning of this video, I am planning on filming a comparison video between my Kobos, both the Clara color and the Libra color, and my Kindle Paperwhite, to do a full sit down video with all of my thoughts, the good and the bad, and why I think either one works depending on the type of reader that you are, and my personal preference. Keep an eye out for that video because it will be coming very soon. I had so much fun filming this reading vlog. Honestly, I've been wanting to film this vlog for so long, and getting to do it with the Libra color was just the best experience. I have really loved using my Clara color, but I do think that the Libra color, if you can afford it, is just an elevated experience. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that it was helpful in terms of the books I read, but also some of my thoughts on the Kobo Libra color. Keep an eye out, like I said, for a little sit down video from me comparing my favorite e-readers. I would love it if you give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more bookish videos from me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.